Alrighty, round two. The last 12 minutes, I realized that I wasn't recording, and I did my whole spiel and everything. So, anyways, today we are breaking down a recent commercial that we shot for Amazon Fulfillment Services. In this situation, the agency wanted to make the agency working for Amazon wanted to create a campaign series of videos from the UK to the United States as far as how Amazon Fulfillment Services is more of like a customer facing, external facing brand. They care about their customers. They care about in situations where this fulfillment warehouse is in a residential area. Not all of them are, but some of them are. They wanted to showcase that, hey, we care about our neighbors, our people, the people that we serve. So, long story short, we shot a bunch of stuff, right? And one of them is a day exterior interview. So we shot two exterior interviews. I'm going to show you one of them that we did. Essentially, they're basically the same, right? So this is the first one we did earlier in the, I think around 12 o'clock, 12:30 or so. Our sun, just to help, I'll keep this brief because I only want to do one of them, but the sun is basically just overhead, right overhead, and that allows us to be backlit. Backlighting means you can use bounces to be able to bring exposure back onto your talent or pod, whatever it is, right? Without having necessarily to do, you can do one of two things, right? You can either bounce, which is what we did, right? So you can bounce and bring level back here, or the other way you can do it, depending on what you like or prefer, just whatever resources, you can use an actual unit. You can use like a sky panel, you can use your 1200D or whatever. You can basically use a electric powered bounce to do this. I went the other way where I just used a couple bounces instead, because that works for us. All right, so let's go into the actual frame, which is this one here. So different time of day. This is later in the afternoon, probably like 3 or 4 o'clock. This is like pre-daylight savings time. And essentially our sun position is right here. You can kind of tell also here, right? The sun's pretty much right over here, but out of frame, right? And then what we do is, basically this is the best frame that I found, because we have these leading lines. We also have the Amazon brand here, the logo here, which slightly out of focus, but again, you can still make it out. I think I was shooting at a T2. We were shooting on the Sony FX9 on Sigma Cine Primes and as well as the 18-35 high-speed zoom. T2 for most of the stuff, but again, we have lighting lines, right? So this is our frame, our sun here, backlighting, right? And so number one is we wanted to how do we get exposure back onto our subject, right? Because without anything, right, without anything being used at all, his face probably would have been at least a stop and a half, at least under. And then you could do stuff in the gray by doing power window, but it's like, well then what are you doing as your job, right? What are you doing as a cinematographer? You gotta help people out, right? You gotta help your production company out and the agency out. So what we decided to do was, based upon the budget and the resources that we had, I wanted to be able to use bounces as much as possible. So what we have is we have a 4x4 of ultra bounce to camera right. And then we also had I think we had a Forza 500, just one with the Fresnel, the Fresnel bouncing into the 4x4 bounce, along with getting the bounce, from our sun. And then that's helping us to get our essentially our key light here. We also had I'm running out of space here. We also had a CRLS 25. This is with the diffusion 3. The diffusion 3 spreads pretty evenly, and it's not as soft as the diffusion 4, but it's a nice in between, which is why I like using the diffusion 3. And then that's allowing us to help wrap around here where we have a little bit of contrast. We have our eye lights here, which is great. We also have, I think we had two 8x8 solids on the ground. And what the solid is doing is, because, this is all just asphalt, right? Asphalt in any time of day where there's sunlight out is going to be a natural skip bounce. And before we were rolling, I just noticed that there was getting a lot of like, you know, yellow bleed onto his face and his body. And you know, that's when I said, oh, well, you know what, it's probably because he's getting, you know, bounce from the skip bounce is hitting his safety vest, and that's, you know, basically upletting him. So we had 2 8x8 bounces on the ground to help cut off that skip bounce, and also adding just a little bit of contrast. And then obviously, you know, without any kind of diffusion overhead, this is just going to be, you know, blasting into the lens, into the camera sensor, right? So on top of that, we have a 12 by, actually, that's probably not the best place, but we have a 12 by 12 of highlight overhead, and that's allowing us to keep our exposure for the most part in this frame that we have. You can use half soft frost, which is more available in the United States. The United States, you can also get highlight. But the thing with highlight or half soft frost is it doesn't knock down a lot of the, it knocks down just the harshness from whatever light you're diffusing from. So in this instance, that would be the sun. Whereas if you have like even a quarter grid, which is pretty light diffusion, quarter grid still looks like this, you know, someone's underneath like shaders or something awkward, right? So it doesn't look ballpark like within the same world or the same realm of exposure, right? Because the idea here is, okay, our sun, this is how hot the sun is for the most part, right? Like the quality of the light is a little hard, right? When you use highlight or half soft frost, it just knocks out this harshness and diffuses it, and still looks like it's still within the realm, right? So right now here, this is the highlight taking into effect, right? This edge here is just raw sun hitting him, because I needed something to help pull him out from the rest of the background. Otherwise, his skin tone might just bleed into this wall here of the Amazon building wall. Okay, so that's another tip. If you are trying to diffuse overhead, most of the time if you're doing day exteriors, you want to use like a half soft frost, or you want to use a like a highlight. If you want to go something thick like a full grid or magic cloth or unbleached muslin, again, that's definitely your choice. You have to look at what the background exposure is, because if this background is like, say, you know, 2.5 stops over your key, and if you use something with like a magic cloth or something overhead, that might knock this down so far down where, you know, homeboy looks like he's underneath a tree or underneath like a tent, and then you have just this raw like light out of nowhere. So that way, so what that means to me, that's a telltale sign that, you know, it just doesn't look right. The ratios just don't look right. And for me, ratios are a huge thing. That's what helps make something look natural and organic, rather than just, you know, super polished. But again, maybe your taste may vary, right? This is what I prefer, something that looks ballpark, natural within the realm. And again, it's something that I have grown to love and enjoy the last few years. So that's it for this breakdown. Super easy. Again, if you wanted to go the route of pushing light with your, you know, 600Ds or 500Ds or sky panels, whatever, again, that is definitely something you can do. It just depends on the resources, the budget, and the time and energy that it takes. Or would you rather just do a balance and make life a lot easier, right? If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as always, just so you are notified of new content coming out. And remember, friends, every day you have an opportunity to create your experience and to write and tell your own story. My name is David Lee, and I will catch you guys in the next video.